It is exactly 4 a.m. at a massive retail store on Ben White Boulevard in Austin, Texas. And the fluorescent lights are humming with that specific, sterile, inescapable drone that you only hear when a building is big enough to house its own weather system.
Right.
And an employee who is probably exhausted, probably just trying to make it to the end of their shift, is standing at the edge of the cereal aisle. And they're staring down at the linoleum floor.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And what they're looking at is a literal trail of human disaster. A Hansel and Gretel path of excrement winding its way past the Cheerios, curving around the end cap, and just disappearing into the apparel section.
It was such a visceral image.
It really is. And as they stand there holding a mop, they are unwittingly asking the exact same question that sociologists and architects and behavioral psychologists have been trying to answer for over a decade.
Which is, what is it about this specific building?
Exactly. What is it about this exact architectural space that causes human beings to completely and utterly forget the basic social contract of public behavior?
It's fascinating.
Welcome to a brand new deep dive. I am thrilled to have you with us today because we are embarking on a journey into one of the most uniquely American phenomena in existence.
Yes, we are.
We are looking at the exact intersection of rampant consumerism, complex architectural sociology, and raw, unfiltered human biology, all playing out under the blinding lights of the mega retailer.
It is a profound intersection to observe. And to do it justice, we have assembled an incredibly dense stack of sources today for you.
So dense.
We are pulling from peer-reviewed sociological analyses on spatial behavior, official regulatory documentation, specifically some very alarming FDA warning letters, local journalistic reports, and perhaps most crucially, the visceral, unfiltered first-hand accounts from the digital front lines.
Written by the retail workers themselves.
Precisely. Our objective today is to unpack the mechanics of this phenomenon. We need to understand the why. Why do these gargantuan retail spaces become theaters for the bizarre? How does late-stage capitalism not only tolerate but actually commodify our most taboo bodily functions? And finally, we will expose the very real, measurable biological threats that are hiding in plain sight within these aisles.
Exactly. Because, to understand modern society, you cannot just look at the stock market or political polls. You have to look at the spaces where we actually physically gather.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, if you want to understand a culture, you looked at the Roman Colosseum or the ancient Greek agora or like the medieval town square. Today, the mega retail store is the ultimate sociological petri dish.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right, because it is one of the very few environments left in our increasingly fractured, highly segmented society where absolutely every demographic strata mixes.
Everyone is there.
You have the wealthy bargain hunter, the exhausted night shift worker, teenagers, the elderly, the unhoused. They're all sharing the exact same physical air, pushing the exact same metal carts.
And when you place that sheer volume of humanity into a highly controlled, massive, enclosed box, you are going to generate volatile behavioral reactions.
Yeah.
It is a statistical inevitability. But to trace the origins of our cultural obsession with this specific environment, we actually have to look backwards to the architecture of the early internet.
Take us up.
We need to go to August 2009. This is the genesis point of a massive cultural meme. It was the launch of an entertainment website called People of Walmart.
Oh, man. I feel like anyone who was actively browsing the internet in the late 2000s remembers this exact website.
It was unavoidable.
It was absolutely ubiquitous. You couldn't open a browser without seeing it.
It was a defining pillar of early viral culture. The site was founded by 3 young men in their 20s. It was brothers Andrew and Adam Kipple and their close friend Luke Wary.
Right.
And the inciting incident, the spark that essentially created a digital empire, happened during a routine shopping trip at a location in South Carolina.
Yeah, according to the interviews in our research stack, they were just there to buy groceries, but they encountered a specific visual tableau that completely shattered their expectations of normal public attire.
Precisely. They documented observing a woman dressed in what they explicitly categorized as stripper attire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She was wearing a violently profanity-laced shirt that instructed onlookers to perform an anatomically impossible act upon themselves.
Classy.
Very. Furthermore, she had a 2-year-old toddler secured on a physical leash, a dog harness, and walking alongside her was a man sporting a massive, untamed beard, whom the founder specifically noted looked exactly like a member of the rock band ZZ Top.
It is such an incredibly vivid, hyper-specific image. You can picture the fluorescent lighting hitting them right now.
Absolutely.
And the Kipple brothers and Wario looked at this group and had the instinct that defines the digital age, which is just, we must document this for an audience.
They did, but what is truly analytically fascinating here is the editorial mechanics they built behind the scenes.
Right.
Because the site was not just a random photo dump. They were aggressively curating a very specific narrative. They were searching for the truly remarkable, the boundary-pushing outfits, the extreme eccentricity.
The spectacle.
Exactly. And to achieve that, they instituted strict, non-negotiable editorial rules. Our sources show they deliberately refused to publish photographs of individuals who appeared to possess physical or developmental disabilities.
Which is good.
They explicitly banned photos of Amish individuals, and crucially, they strictly avoided posting any images of working employees in uniform.
Which is a fascinating line to draw in the digital sand, isn't it?
It is.
Because by filtering out those specific groups, they were engineering a very deliberate spectacle. They weren't documenting reality. They were manufacturing a funhouse mirror version of it. They were curating eccentricities for mass consumption. And it worked brilliantly from a business perspective.
I would explode it.
It went incredibly viral. It was being aggregated and promoted heavily on massive platforms of the era like Dig and Funny or Die. The traffic was so overwhelming that Adam Kipple and Luke Wary actually resigned from their corporate day jobs to manage this digital spectacle full-time.
It highlights the massive cultural shift of that era. The democratization of digital publishing meant that anyone with a 2-megapixel camera phone could instantly become a global documentarian.
Yeah.
The founders claimed they operated with a moral safety valve. They stated that if an individual recognized themselves on the site and was unhappy about it, the site administrators would remove the photo immediately, no questions asked.
Right. But we all know how the internet works.
You can't undo it.
You cannot unring a digital bell. Once a photograph of you standing in the frozen food aisle wearing a bizarre outfit is viewed by 4 million people and scraped by a dozen other aggregator sites, taking it down from one specific domain does absolutely nothing to erase it from the permanent digital record.
That is very true.
But this is exactly where our deep dive takes a pivot. Because while that website focused entirely on aesthetics, the bad haircuts, the neon spandex, the visual eccentricities, the actual lived experiences of the employees working in these buildings highlight a physical reality that is infinitely darker.
And incredibly viscerally messy.
So messy. We are diving into the literal mess. And as we transition into these primary sources, these firsthand accounts from the actual retail workers, I just want to note that I am going to pour myself a small glass of this incredibly peaty scotch I have here.
I think I will join you, actually.
Please do. Because reading through these subreddits, it requires a fortified constitution.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Yeah.
So we are looking at massive archives from r/Walmart, r/People of Walmart, and local city hubs like r/Austin. And across thousands of threads, separated by thousands of miles, there is one bizarre, inescapable, unifying theme.
The pervasive presence of human feces in the aisle.
It is everywhere. It is the great unifier of the American retail employee experience.
It really is.
Sounds like an internet urban legend, but the sheer volume of these highly detailed independent accounts is staggering. Let's examine the logistics of a few specific incidents documented in our stack. First, we have an account detailing what the community essentially dubbed the Phantom Bakery Shitter.
Yes. The mechanics of this particular incident are quite remarkable. According to the source, a customer host the associate stationed at the entrance to verify receipts was approached by a visibly bewildered woman on the grocery side of the megastore.
Okay.
She taps the associate on the shoulder and, with considerable hesitation, says, "Sir, I believe someone pooped on themselves in the bakery."
Oh, no.
So the employee abandons his post and walks over to the bakery section. And what does he find? Not a person. He finds a lone, abandoned metal shopping cart.
Just sitting there.
Inside the basket of the cart, a single bunch of bananas and a 12-pack of Coca-Cola. And pooled around the wheels at the base of the cart, a massive puddle of liquid excrement.
Wow.
And leading away from this epicenter is a distinct set of brown, wet footprints marching directly toward the automatic exit doors.
I know it is a terrible situation, but the visual of those bananas and that Coke sitting there in the quiet bakery as a silent monument to this biological disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, it belongs in a modern art museum.
From a behavioral standpoint, this indicates a sudden, catastrophic biological failure, immediately followed by an intense flight response.
Right, just panic.
Exactly. The physiological emergency overrode all social and consumer priorities. The individuals simply abandoned their provisions, the potassium, the carbonated sugar, and fled the scene, leaving the evidence behind for the custodial staff to discover.
And this is not an isolated anomaly. Let us return to that 4 a.m. incident in Austin, Texas at the Ben White location.
Yes. A user vividly described watching, and I'm quoting the primary text directly here, shit drip out of a woman's shorts and leave a Hansel and Gretel-like trail as she walked up the cereal aisle.
At 4 in the morning.
This is occurring at 4 in the morning.
In the morning. I am sipping my drink just contemplating the physics of this. Because you called it a Hansel and Gretel trail earlier, and that implies forward motion.
It does.
I marvel at the logistics. How does a human being physically accomplish leaving a continuous trail of excrement without breaking their stride? It requires a terrifying, almost predatory level of forward momentum. To not stop, to not seek shelter, to just keep walking past the frosted flakes.
It points to two deeply concerning sociological possibilities. Either the individual is entirely unaware of their physiological state, which implies a severe medical or cognitive crisis,
Yeah.
or alternatively, they are profoundly indifferent to the social contract of public sanitation, which is arguably more concerning from a societal standpoint.
Absolutely.
And we possess video evidence supporting this indifference. In Rockford, Illinois, local news reported on a man caught on surveillance video casually strolling past the electronics department, actively defecating as he walked. He wasn't running. He wasn't displaying panic. He was just browsing.
Browsing the flat screens while dropping a deuce.
Precisely.
Just leaving a little biological presence for the employees who make minimum wage. And the sources show it is not just rogue adults acting in isolation. We have an incredibly disturbing account from a location in San Marcos, Texas.
Oh, the cooking aisle.
The cooking gadget aisle. A mother is shopping with her young child. The child verbally communicates that they urgently need to use the restroom. The mother, rather than navigating to the facilities at the front or back of the store, explicitly instructs the child to simply pull down their pants and relieve themselves directly onto the linoleum floor, right there amongst the spatulas and measuring cups, which the child proceeds to do.
Now, that fundamentally shifts the paradigm. We are no longer analyzing a biological accident or an uncontrollable medical emergency. That is a deliberate, conscious, pedagogical choice by a parent to violate a shared public space.
Yes.
It demonstrates an active, calculated disregard for the environment and the working-class individuals tasked with maintaining it.
And then, my friend, we have the recurring characters. The serial offenders. One supermarket worker in the Reddit archives detailed a man who would visit the store once or twice a week. He always wore extremely large, baggy farmer overalls. And up to 3 times a month, he would walk methodically up and down the aisles, secretly dropping solid waste out of the wide legs of his overalls, and just continue his shopping trip uninterrupted.
That is...
The store's maintenance associate had to literally stalk him through the store with a mop and bucket, cleaning up spot by spot, aisle by aisle, like some twisted game of Pac-Man.
It transforms from an anomaly into a patterned ritualistic behavior integrated into the ecosystem of the store. What is truly illuminating is how the internal culture of the employees processes this trauma.
How so?
Well, within the mythology of retail workers, there is an established colloquialism. They say that a newly constructed supercenter isn't officially christened until a customer defecates on the sales floor.
It is exactly like breaking a bottle of champagne over the bow of a new battleship. Except instead of champagne, it is a terrifying bodily function happening right next to the seasonal patio furniture.
Yes, but we have to ask the critical question, why?
Right. Why this specific mega retail environment? Why does it seem to act as a hypermagnet for this specific behavioral breakdown?
That is the ultimate sociological puzzle. And the analytical report we have in our sources regarding this phenomenon breaks this down into several intersecting mechanisms. The first mechanism is simply the mathematics of scale and demographics.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm having another sip while you do.
These structures are architectural behemoths, and they process millions of human beings across every conceivable cross-section of society.
Right. It's a numbers game. You put 10,000 people in a box, someone's going to have a bad day.
Exactly. When your daily foot traffic includes the extreme elderly, individuals managing severe chronic medical conditions, intensely sleep-deprived parents, heavily intoxicated individuals, and people experiencing severe mental health crises or homelessness, the statistical probability of a catastrophic biological incident approaches 100%.
Wow.
It is the sheer overwhelming volume of human traffic.
Okay, I understand the math. But I am telling you, pouring this second glass right now, It feels like there's more to it than just raw statistics.
Yeah.
Like the math doesn't explain the mother in the cooking aisle.
You are absolutely correct. The math is only the baseline. The second, and far more powerful mechanism, is a psychological concept known as threshold behavior, particularly as it relates to giant public spaces.
Threshold behavior.
This is rooted in architectural psychology. Massively scaled, heavily overstimulating, fundamentally anonymous environments induce an altered psychological state in the human brain. It creates a powerful "nobody knows me here" internal narrative.
Oh, wait, I know exactly what you mean. It's like airport psychology.
Yes.
When you were sitting at Terminal B at 6:45 in the morning on a random Tuesday, and your brain decides it is perfectly culturally acceptable to consume a massive plate of loaded nachos and a 24-ounce draft beer, because time doesn't exist in the airport.
Precisely. The airport, or the massive casino floor in Las Vegas, these architectures are designed to disorient. They lack windows, they lack clocks.
It's true.
The sheer overwhelming scale of the physical space, combined with the absolute anonymity of being surrounded by thousands of strangers you will never see again, actively degrades the prefrontal cortex's adherence to social restraint.
That's deep.
People become significantly less self-conscious, they become impulsive, they become detached from the long-term consequences of their actions. A 200,000 square foot megastore triggers that exact same threshold behavior. The physical environment is so large that it makes the individual feel invisible, thereby dismantling their conditioned social rules.
That is, wow. That is incredibly profound. The actual architecture of the building is dismantling our prefrontal cortex.
It is.
The lighting, the endless aisles, it physically breaks down our societal conditioning. That is deeply, deeply insightful. You know, you're really brilliant at explaining these mechanisms. You really are.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But wait, there's a third pillar to this, right? The internet itself plays a role in how we perceive this.
Yes, right. The internet. Tell us about that.
The concept of internet selection bias. This is crucial for understanding the scale of the meme. No one logs onto a forum to write a post saying, "A totally normal, middle-aged shopper quietly and appropriately utilized the restroom facilities today."
Right, because that's boring.
The internet functions as an algorithmic filter that strictly and exclusively preserves boundary violations. It captures the taboo. It takes the most grotesque, shocking, one-in-a-million anomalies and amplifies them into virality.
Creating a warped cognitive bias.
Exactly, where we assume these events are happening constantly in every single aisle.
We get a totally distorted view of reality because the algorithm feeds on the extremes. And listen to me, because this is where I think we really need to pause and look at the human element.
Okay.
We have to talk about the sad, heavy reality hiding behind a lot of these internet jokes. Because it is not all just entitled moms telling their kids to use the floor. A massive percentage of these stories, they involve terrifying, humiliating medical realities.
The medical literature cross-referenced in our sources is very clear on this aspect. A significant portion of these incidents involve catastrophic medical failures.
Yeah.
We are examining burst ostomy bags, cases of severe irritable bowel syndrome triggered by stress or food, severe gastrointestinal complications stemming from advanced diabetes, and incredibly drastic side effects from necessary medications.
It's awful.
These are not malicious actors. These are human beings experiencing profound, uncontrollable physical trauma in a highly public, brightly lit setting.
And it is heartbreaking. It's utterly, fundamentally heartbreaking. I was reading this one specific story deep in the Reddit archives, and I want you, the listener, to really hear this and internalize it. A user who goes by the handle Mama K Trekking recounted a memory from back in 1990.
I read that one.
They were in a JCPenney, and there was an elderly man and his wife, and they are desperately screaming for everyone to please get out of the way so he could reach the bathroom. His colostomy bag had catastrophically failed. He is terrified. He's leaving a trail. The smell is overwhelming. And this user, who was only 12 years old at the time, remembers just standing there and laughing at him, laughing at an old man in the middle of a terrifying, deeply humiliating medical emergency.
Psychologically, that is a very common defense mechanism for children. When a juvenile encounters a deeply taboo, uncomfortable social violation, laughter is an involuntary nervous response.
No, but listen to me. I know about defense mechanisms, but it highlights something so much bigger.
Yeah.
It highlights the absolute unvarnished heroism of the retail workers.
Well, certainly they face a burden.
The maintenance associates,
Yeah.
the people in the blue vests, they are the unsung, essential heroes of our entire civilization.
Yeah.
They are out there with their mops and their industrial squeegees, dealing with the most vulnerable, broken, terrifying moments of human biology. And they do it for minimum wage. Man, we just need to be so much kinder to each other, you know?
It is a harsh reality.
We really do. We are all just fragile meat sacks trying to make it to the bathroom of life. Sometimes the ostomy bag bursts. Sometimes you just don't make it to the porcelain. And who is standing there when you fall? The maintenance worker. They are literal angels. Angels in blue vests and slip-resistant shoes.
That is a very deeply sincere and highly emotional interpretation of custodial duties. But from a systemic perspective, you are accurately identifying that the massive burden of these combined sociological and biological failures is offloaded entirely onto the lowest paid, most vulnerable workers within the corporate hierarchy.
They deserve hazard pay. They deserve presidential medals of freedom. I mean it. Anyway, wait. Excuse me. I just bumped the microphone.
Are you okay?
Yeah, fine. What was I saying? Where were we on the outline? Oh, capitalism.
Yes, the commodification.
We absolutely have to talk about capitalism, because if there was one thing that the American free market apparatus does with absolute terrifying perfection, it is figuring out how to commodify our cultural traumas. They figure out how to make a profit off the mess.
The relentless commodification of the taboo, it is a cornerstone of late-stage retail economics.
Exactly, the commodification of literal feces. I was digging through the business supplies catalog in our research stack, and it is a goldmine of absolute unhinged consumer nonsense. Do you know what they are selling in bulk?
Tell me.
They're selling a lot of 20 assorted, colorful, and fun poop emoji figures. 6 assorted colors. You can buy red, pink, orange, yellow, green, and blue plastic poops.
Astonishing.
And of course, it comes with a warning. Choking hazard. Because obviously, someone is going to try to eat the neon blue plastic poop.
The conceptual translation of a fundamental, often distressing biological imperative into a brightly colored, mass-produced, molded plastic trinket is the absolute hallmark of modern consumerism. We take the anxiety of the body and we neutralize it by turning it into cheap, injection-molded plastic.
But that isn't even the peak. That is just the appetizer. The absolute pinnacle of human engineering available for purchase right now in their catalog is the poop knife funny gag gift.
Ah, yes. The infamous poop knife.
The poop knife. It is 9.8 inches long. It's constructed out of high-quality silicone, but it has a thick, rigid stainless steel inner core for structural integrity.
Naturally.
And the official product description, I have to read this directly to you because it is literal poetry. Quote, "If poop is big and hard and not easy to flush, please invite Poop Knife to your bathroom and cut these things into small pieces." End quote.
Invite the poop knife.
Invite the Poop Knife.
Yeah.
Like it is a distinguished guest arriving for a dinner party. "Hello, Mr. Knife. Won't you please step into the lavatory and assist me with my structural plumbing issues?"
It is nominally marketed as a gag gift, a novelty item, yet the descriptive text outlines a highly specific, very practical, albeit deeply unsettling physical utility. It solves a mechanical problem.
But why? Why do we need this? Why is there a market for 9.8-inch silicone steel core poop dimes? I will tell you exactly why. Because of the 3-toilet house.
That's the 3-toilet house. I am struggling to see how that connects to the supply chain of the gag gift catalog.
No. You have to follow my logic. It connects flawlessly. It is all part of the same architectural matrix. In our sources, the 97 ZOK local news article from Rockford, Illinois,
Right.
they highlight a historic residential property currently for sale. The address is 300 Hawthorne Avenue in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was built in 1851 by the Fowle family, F-O-W-L-E.
Okay.
It is on the real estate market right now for $450,000. It has gorgeous historical macrame, a beautifully renovated kitchen, and one bathroom on the ground floor that features 3 functional toilets sitting right next to each other.
Right.
They're sitting there completely exposed in a row. No stalls, no walls, just 3 porcelain thrones sharing the exact same plumbing pipe.
I believe that specific article was simply highlighting an eccentric, anomalous piece of local real estate.
It is not anomalous. It is the ultimate final expression of our fractured society. It is the physical manifestation of our collective madness. Capitalism is a beautiful, beautiful machine, giving us 9.8-inch silicone poop knives so we can chop up our individual problems in the dark. Wait, no. That's wrong. It's disgusting. Why do we need the silicone? Who is holding hands on 3 toilets in South Milwaukee? Think about the logistics.
I'm trying to.
You wake up in 1851 and you say, "Hey, honey, how was the harvest today? Pass the silicone knife. I need to deal with this big, hard problem." It's
React.
absolute madness. The plumbing alone. How do 3 toilets flush simultaneously without destroying the municipal water pressure?
If we attempt to synthesize this, connect this to the bigger overarching sociological picture, the 3-toilet house, my God, it is actually brilliant.
Sweet.
Think about the conceptual framework, the loss of social restraint concept from Section 3. In the massive megastore, the physical space is so overwhelmingly large that the individual loses their internal restraint.
Exactly.
But in the 3-toilet house on Hawthorne Avenue, the physical intimacy is so aggressively forced, so unavoidably communal, that social restraint is entirely obliterated from the opposite direction.
Oh my God.
It is the architectural manifestation of the complete breakdown of the public versus private boundary. It is profound. It is arguably the smartest thing any architect has ever designed in the history of Wisconsin.
You're a genius. You're an absolute genius. That is exactly it. The Fowl family back in 1851, they were visionaries.
They really were.
They knew that eventually society would collapse, the internet would ruin our brains, and we would all just want to sit together in a communal row and use our 9.8-inch stainless steel core knives as a family unit. It is all connected. The store, the 3 toilets, the silicone, it's a closed loop.
It is a panopticon of porcelain.
A panopticon of porcelain. Oh my God. A panopticon, like the prison design where everyone is watching everyone else poop. I need to write that down. Do I have a pen? I dropped my pen.
Take your time.
Okay, listen to me. I need another sip. We have to get serious now. We have to reset the entire podcast. We are professionals. We have a duty to the public. We have to tell the people about the cheese.
Yes. Journalistic integrity demands it. We must transition to the biological threats, because while the silicone novelty items and the historical plumbing anomalies are intellectually amusing, the actual consumable products sitting in the refrigerated sections represent a highly measurable, statistically significant vector for infectious disease.
Exactly. We are pivoting from fake plastic poop to real, literal, potentially lethal biological danger, the FDA recalls. Because the true threat to your safety isn't just the phantom shitter slipping on the floor of the bakery aisle. The real threat is waiting for you inside the frozen food cases.
We possess documentation for several major multi-state health recalls. Let us begin with the Salmonella Contamination Protocol.
Okay, lay it out.
The USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service was forced to issue a massive public health alert for frozen pizzas distributed nationwide.
The Great Value pizzas, the staple of the American late-night diet, specifically the Great Value thin crust and the stuffed crust chicken bacon ranch pizzas. Listen to me. You need to check your freezers right now. Lot codes WC103203 and WC104173. Best if used by October and November of 2026. Salmonella, hiding right there in the chicken bacon ranch.
Salmonella infection, medically termed salmonellosis, is incredibly serious. It attacks the intestinal tract. The bacteria violently disrupt the gut lining, causing severe fever, acute inflammatory diarrhea, and intense abdominal cramping.
That was terrible.
It is a highly significant foodborne illness. But mechanically speaking, the bacterial threat of the pizza pales in comparison to the catastrophic dairy pasteurization failure.
The cheese. You have to explain the cheese to them. How does cheese go bad before it even leaves the factory?
Well, Saputo Cheese USA, a massive dairy conglomerate, was forced to issue an urgent voluntary recall of select Great Value cottage cheese products. This included the 24-ounce fat-free, the low-fat, and the 4% milk-fat small curd varieties.
And they shipped it everywhere.
These contaminated units were shipped across a massive logistical web to 24 different states, spanning from Alaska all the way to Wyoming.
And why? Because it wasn't fully pasteurized. Do you even know what happens when you consume raw, unpasteurized milk products from a mega dairy facility? It's not cute farm life.
Pasteurization, the process of heating milk to specific, precise temperatures to eradicate harmful microorganisms, is the foundational pillar of modern food safety.
Right.
When that process fails, it exposes consumers directly to lethal pathogens. We are talking about aggressive strains of E. coli, Listeria monocytogenes, and Campylobacter.
Which is really, really bad.
Consumption can lead to severe hemolytic uremic syndrome, which causes total kidney failure or severe neurological paralysis-related conditions. This is particularly lethal for vulnerable demographic populations, such as the extreme elderly, immunocompromised individuals, and pregnant women.
But listen to me. I am looking right at the document, and that is still not the worst part.
Oh, there's more.
The salmonella pizza, the Listeria cheese,
Yeah.
that is undeniably bad. But Doug, We really have to talk about Doug right now.
You are referring to Doug McMillon,
Yeah.
the Chief Executive Officer of Walmart, Inc.
Doug, what are you doing, Doug? I am holding an official, highly regulated FDA warning letter in my hand right now. Document number MRCS CMS 7200400, dated December 12, 2025. This is not a joke. This is not a gag gift. This is about infant formula.
Yes, specifically the By Heart Whole Nutrition Infant Formula. The FDA, in conjunction with the CDC, painstakingly traced a massive multi-state outbreak of infant botulism directly back to this specific manufactured formula.
Botulism in the baby formula. 51 innocent infants across 19 different states were severely sickened.
Yeah.
Botulism? Wait, what exactly does botulism actually do to a baby? I know it is incredibly bad. It's the bacteria from the dented cans, right? But what does it do inside the body?
Botulism is fundamentally a neurotoxin. When the infants swallow the Clostridium botulinum bacterial spores, those spores find an ideal environment. Because an infant's digestive tract lacks the mature acidic environment and established competing flora of an adult gut, the spores rapidly germinate. They multiply. And as they multiply, they release a potent neurotoxin.
This is so dark.
This toxin travels through the bloodstream to the neuromuscular junctions. It binds to the nerve endings and completely blocks the release of acetylcholine.
Okay.
Which means it definitively causes complete flaccid paralysis, starting at the top. It causes a terrifying loss of head control. The baby's neck muscles simply stop working.
Oh my God.
And then it moves down to cause respiratory arrest. The diaphragm paralyzes. It is incredibly, terrifyingly severe.
It blocks the acetylcholine. It causes complete loss of head control. That is absolutely terrifying. So By Heart realizes this disaster and initiates a massive recall on November 8th. They then expand that recall on November 11th to include all unexpired lots, the massive cans, the little single-serve travel sticks, everything.
They did everything right.
Walmart corporate is notified in writing. Doug is officially notified. The corporate infrastructure knows the poison is in the building. And what happens?
This is exactly where the sheer logistical scale of the mega retailer, the same scale that creates the psychological threshold behavior we discussed earlier, becomes an active, measurable danger to human life.
Exactly.
Despite receiving urgent written regulatory notifications on both the 8th and the 11th of November, FDA field regulators conducted subsequent physical compliance visits, and they discovered the recalled botulism-tainted By Heart formula was still sitting passively on the store shelves, readily available for purchase in at least 4 different retail locations across 21 states.
For up to 14 days, from November 12th all the way to November 26th, Doug. How do you logically lose track of lethal baby formula for 2 entire weeks?
It's inexcusable.
The FDA physically calls Doug's office on November 18th. They send urgent follow-up emails on the 20th, the 21st, the 24th, December 1st, December 3rd, and December 8th. And Doug just completely ghosts the federal government. He just leaves the FDA on read.
When investigators finally interviewed the store-level associates, the explanations they offered to the state regulatory partners were highly indicative of a massive systemic communication breakdown.
What do they say?
The associates cited a complete lack of awareness regarding the urgent recall notice. They expressed profound confusion over how to identify the specific alphanumeric lot numbers on the bottom of the cans.
Because it's too complicated.
And, most crucially and terrifyingly, the logistics supply chain was so massive that the stores were actively stocking shelves with recalled products that had arrived on pallets from the distribution centers after the initial recall notification was disseminated.
They were still actively unpacking it and putting it on the shelves. The physical system's just too big. It's too big, Doug. Think about it.
It is an inherent flaw in the model.
If a building is so massive, so geographically sprawling, that a man in oversized overalls can leave a continuous trail of biological waste in the cooking gadget aisle and absolutely nobody can coordinate fast enough to stop him, then of course they can't find the invisible botulism formula hiding in the massive labyrinth of the back room. It's absolute unmitigated chaos.
The scale. The scale that creates the threshold behavior, the absolute loss of social restraint, is the exact same mathematical scale that creates the logistical impossibility of executing a rapid public health recall. The very architecture of the space is fundamentally, structurally at odds with basic human safety.
It all just goes to show the big spaces.
Yeah.
They fundamentally change us. They break our human brains.
They do.
You walk in just wanting to buy a 9.8-inch silicone poop knife because you live in a 3-toilet house in South Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And you walk out with unpasteurized, lethal cottage cheese and a total absolute loss of your prefrontal social restraint.
Right.
It is the Roman Colosseum. It is exactly like the Colosseum, but with significantly worse fluorescent lighting and way more salmonella in the chicken ranch.
The way you integrate your metaphors,
Mhm.
it is absolutely unparalleled tonight. You have a gift.
I really do.
But it raises a final, truly vital thought for the listener, something they need to ponder.
Tell them. Tell the listener right now they need to hear this.
If the grand illusion of the one-stop shop, the utopian capitalist idea that you can buy automotive tires, fresh bananas, high-definition televisions, and life-sustaining infant formula all under one massive unbroken roof, if maintaining that illusion requires an architectural structure so incomprehensibly massive that a lethal biological hazard can sit completely unnoticed on a shelf for 14 days, and a human being can undergo a terrifying medical emergency in an aisle completely undetected, then we have to ask, have we built stores that are simply too big for humanity to safely exist inside of? Is the mega retailer actually a massive structural societal failing that is merely masquerading as consumer convenience?
That is, wow. Have we built stores too big for the human soul? You are so incredibly smart. That is such a profoundly good question. I really, truly love the way your brain works. I do.
And your passion, your intense passion for the maintenance workers with the mops. It was deeply moving. It really framed the cold sociological data with such vital, warm human empathy. You brought the humanity back to the data.
We are doing great work here. This is important journalism. Listen, you, the listener, sitting out there in your car or your kitchen, I love you. I really do.
We appreciate you.
I want you to be so safe out there in those giant aisles. Watch out for the botulism in the formula. Be kind to the beautiful people in the blue vests holding the mops. And I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, I will never, ever look at a 3-toilet bathroom in South Milwaukee without thinking of you. Never.
A Panopticon of porcelain. It's poetry. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Doug. Clean up your aisles, Doug. We're watching you.